What would you do if the person you planned to spend forever with suddenly started lying, disappearing at night and laughing at your trust issues? So I met my now fiancée about 3 years ago through mutual friends. She was very innocent, did not drink much, did not smoke, never did drugs. We had a really good relationship and everything was going great, hence why I asked her to marry me. We moved in together around the same time too. She has a daughter who lives with us as well. Anyway, around 6 months ago, my fiancée started going out drinking with her friends often, which is totally fine. I always offered to pick her up if she was stuck. However, it became more and more frequent, from once every 2 months to every single weekend without fail. Then she started staying out overnight. But she always told me where she was and was always back around 9 a.m. I started to worry because this just was not usual behavior for her, even though she told me where she was. It was very unusual for her to act like this. Fast forward to about 3 months after the first time she stayed out all night. She goes out with her friends and again stays out all night. This time, though, she did not come home in the morning. There was also no contact from her at all. Naturally, I contacted her friend P via phone, who she was out with. They said, "We left her at the bar with her friend, L, male 26, who I had never heard of before." This guy had never been mentioned. My fiancée was the type of girl to never be around another guy. I did not know this guy's full name, so I could not contact him. Her friend, who I was on the phone with, also said, "I have something else to tell you too. Your fiancée has also been doing drugs for a while. We left her with the guy she buys it from. I am sorry." So my head started spinning. I was worried about where she was, but also what she was doing. Again, this was a girl that would never ever be near another guy and never do drugs, so I was confused and shocked. By around noon, after I had exhausted all my options, contacting all of her friends and family to ask if they had seen her, all saying they had not, I started to get really worried. Maybe rashly, I contacted the police to report her missing. At this point, I was on the verge of tears as I thought she could be dead. It may have been irrational, but I was genuinely worried. Once I had officially reported her missing, I then had to contact her parents and tell them the same thing. She did not come home, I cannot contact her, etc. They were wailing down the phone, crying and screaming. Another 3 hours passed, her mom constantly ringing for updates, when my fiancé decided it was time to come home. She walked through the door and I was relieved but also furious. I walked over to her, gave her a hug but demanded to know where she had been. I felt like I deserved to know. She told me, "I stayed at P's house and the friend of hers I had spoken to hours before." I knew this was not true as I had had a conversation with P, so I told my fiancé that I knew she was lying. She said, "I swear on my daughter's life that is the truth." I said again, "I know you are lying as I have spoken to P, and she has confirmed that she left you in the bar." I asked, "Who were you with when P left you?" She said, "I was alone, I promise, I was alone." Again, I said, "I know this is a lie, you were with L. Who is he to you?" She said, "How do you know?" I said, "P told me." Anyway, I will not go into specifics of the whole conversation, but she continued to lie. Said she was only with L for 20 minutes, then it was an hour. Then it was, I do not know how long. She eventually told me that she stayed at her friend Laura's house. I said, "Is that the actual truth?" She said, "I promise that is the truth." So being the silly man I am, I believed her. I also asked her about the drugs. She lied. Said she had only done them twice and she regretted it both times. I knew this was not true due to my conversation with P. She still to this day tells me it is just twice. But the fact her friends rang me and told me that she is always doing drugs leads me to believe that only doing them twice is not true. Fast forward to 2 weeks ago. We were out with her friends. I had a few too many drinks and I asked her friends, "Where did my fiancé stay that night?" I asked 3 of her friends and all 3 of them told me a different story. Not one of them told me the same story she told me, so I brought it up to my fiancé, probably the wrong time to do it when I was drunk. I said, "I asked all of your friends where you stayed that night. All of them told me a different version of events. What is the truth?" One of her friends, R, said she stayed at her house. Another friend, T, said she stayed at L's house, and the third friend said she stayed in her mom's shed. So I questioned her on it. I said, "Are any of these stories true?" She said, "Yes, one of them is." I asked which one, and she said she stayed in her mom's shed. Now, personally, I said, "I do not believe you." I asked why she would need to lie about where she stayed if she stayed in her mom's shed. She said, "I did not want to disappoint you." She said she thinks she was spiked and could not remember where she lived, but could remember her mom's address. This is the story she has stuck with. She stayed in her mom's shed. She has only done drugs twice and she was only with L for a bit, but did not stay at his house. Now, on Monday of this week, she said she is going out with her friends on Saturday. Naturally, I am worried about this. After everything that has happened, I am worried. But I said, "No problems, go out and enjoy yourself." Inside, I do not really want her to go out, but I am not here to control her and tell her she cannot go out. I just asked her respectfully, after everything that has happened, if she could please come home after her night out. I feel like this is not a big ask, as my thoughts are you would want to come home to your fiancé. She tried to tell me from her point of view that if she stays at her friend's house and tells me that it is not a big deal as she is telling me where she is. I tried to explain to her that after everything I have some trust issues. She just laughed at me, laughed directly in my face. She said she understands that I have trust issues, but said if she is having a good time with her friends, she does not want to come home just because I want her to be at home. She is not going to ruin her night out because I want her home. I felt like my feelings are invalid because she wants to have fun with her friends and I would be getting in the way of that. I am not a controlling person. I do not have access to her phone. I do not know her code for it either. I have never looked through her phone, but since this has all happened, she is ultra protective of her phone, which she never was. She is always on it texting or messaging 24/7. The phone does not leave her side. She even puts it under her pillow when she sleeps at night to keep it protected. Also, she deletes messages on her phone often too. I have seen her do it. She says it is part of her OCD, which I understand, but she is constantly deleting messages. I am not sure if I have just noticed it more because there is a lack of trust, but it feels like she is deleting messages constantly. Multiple times a day. She will send a text, then immediately delete the text chain. It gives the impression that she is hiding something, even if that is not her intention. In her words, she did not lie about doing drugs. She evaded the truth. We had a conversation the day after she had done them, before I knew she was taking them. I said I would never do drugs again. I did them when I was a teenager. It does not appeal to me. And she said I would never do them either. Just the day before, though, she was doing them. So her thought on it is she did not lie, as I did not directly ask her if she had done them. She just evaded the truth, so my questions are, is it okay to not trust my fiancé? Is it normal to want her to come home after a night out? Is it unreasonable to not want her to lie about where she has been and who she has been with? Lastly, is it okay to feel uncomfortable that she is constantly on her phone texting, messaging 24/7, and deleting all her messages? What should I do? My brain is telling me to leave the relationship as it is so toxic. The lying, the deception, and the clear lack of respect for my feelings. My heart is telling me to stay with her. In all honesty, I love her. I love her daughter too. I see her as my own daughter and protect her as if she was my own too. Any advice, guidance, anything at all, please help me. Would you stay and fight for the relationship, or walk away before it breaks you completely? Share your honest advice because I genuinely do not know what to do anymore.